There was a name thrown out, actually a couple of times, by Jack Dennis, talking about Roman Scharabun. And I don't know how many people here know him or knew of him, but we thought maybe, seeing his name was mentioned a couple of times, that we would do something in his honor. He passed away back in 2005. He was a member and also a founding member of the Northern Lights. He was, I'm not 100% sure, he was either president or vice president for a year or two. So I didn't really get to know Roman a whole bunch until a couple years before he died. Him and I got together to do a couple of the seminars, our January seminars. I got to talk to him a little bit. A very creative person. He created several flies for Alberta and likely North America. His most famous likely is the RS Quad. The other one that he created that I like a whole bunch is what we call the SA Hopper. And he created it down south on the Crow. And basically what happened was he was fishing with a stimulator. And he'd be catching fish with a stimulator, he'd catch one or two fish, and then nothing. What was happening was the fly was getting all slimed up, couldn't get the slime out of it, and what was happening is cast it out, it'd sink too quick on him. And any time that he put a brand new one on, he'd catch a fish. So he knew it was something to do with how high the fly was floating in the water. So he went back to his cabin and did some tinkering around that night, and he came up with this fly. And lo and behold, it actually worked very well. Basically, he used the foam body and went from there with some really very well floating materials to go with it. I don't remember, was it, I think it was Bill Robinson that I think that actually came up with the SA Hopper. Again, it was for southern Alberta, that's what the idea was. So I'm going to get to tie this thing, and everybody make sure you got your cameras and all that kind of stuff. And the reason I say that is this is likely to be one of the only times you're going to see me almost follow a pattern to the T, okay?
Yeah, I've still got the newspaper clipping.
Actually,
the original one from
that one?
You got it too? Yeah.
I got it off of Vince. And I've seen this tied a couple different ways, and by Romans. So, do bear with us here a little bit. I might be up too high, but okay.
Do you have that in your file then, so you can email a guy?
I can scan it. I don't have it.
Pattern instructions on the newsletter.
You can pass it around as long as I get it back.
Oh, you mean that thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Roman used Tiemco 200R. Was his hook that he used. I'm using a Daiichi. It's a dry fly 2X, where the 200R was a 3X, and it's kind of a nymph. It's got a nymph bend on it, so this doesn't have the nymph bend on it, unfortunately. So I guess that's kind of sizing it a little bit, I guess. But
I think Roman liked the ring eye because you could do a riffle hitch on it or a loose loop on it, and you get a little nicer action.
Well, it could be.
So what's the hook again? GM 200.
It was a 200R. He was actually, the article says a Talon, which Talon is actually a cheap Tiemco. I'm using a fire orange. That's the thread that Roman used. I've also seen him use olive, so. And I'm going to come down to the
Okay, why does it say in the pattern that you sent to Ken that you should use 10 thread?
Huh? I didn't send nothing was sent to him.
Well, this is printed right off the forum, the 10th, right?
Oh, he's demonizing already?
No.
No, it just, yeah, it just says fire orange now, and, you know, this, I'm never gonna catch fish with my fly, and.
Well, you know what?
Wonderful day.
I'm gonna say right now that you'll catch just as many with the tan as you would with the fire red. So how's that? And the first thing I'm gonna put on is the red tail. Now, Roman used the first one that he tied, or first ones. He used red hackle. He changed over to red deer hair. I'm using red elk, so we're kind of in the same category. And it was actually quite important. Roman figured that the red imitated when a hopper falls in the water and he gets excited and he's trying to get out, he actually secretes a type of liquid that was kind of a brownie color, so that's why he used that red. So I'm going to do it here, and just out past the bend of the hook. And I tie this, I keep the deer hair or elk hair or whatever still on. I don't trim it off until I come down to as far as I want to bring the body, which is about a halfway to not quite 2/3. And I would trim that off a little bit. And this helps to keep the body the same thickness all the way down, even though you are using foam, so you could adjust for it if you wanted to. Now this is where I'm going to deviate, if I'm going to deviate at all. I'm going to put just a spot of Zap-A-Gap or Loctite or whatever. Well, I think I had.
Loctite?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
I was.
that's not an example to be followed. We're tying flies here, we're not gluing flies then.
Excuse me?
Got a rise, eh? Sorry. On the side.
Hey, one does what he has to do, eh? And then I'm going to take a piece of yellow foam. I'm going to set it on here and just going to bring it just past the tips of the hackle, okay? Or the tail.
So how thick is that?
Oh, I didn't measure it. I just cut it. But it's about a quarter inch or whatever you want to call it.
Gap size, right?
Yeah, gap size.
Whatever works for you. Then you want a piece of hackle. This is Coachman Brown, is what he called for. And you want it a little bit smaller than the gap of the hook.
I remember if he didn't have a small hackle, he would trim it.
Yep. Oh, dear. That looks like one of those two would work right there. Yeah. And you'd put the dull side pointing towards you. And then tie it on, tie it down.
Tying it under the foam.
It doesn't matter. I've got right beside it, actually. If you wanna. Now, I'm gonna just put a little bit more.
You're gluing the foam down.
I am. And you know, to be very honest, I've not ever had any trouble with it spinning around on me, but it's just something that makes it just a little bit better. Yeah. Well, as much as the foam will let me go.
I think that's when you're using 3X.
Yeah. Oh, I just ripped it. See, lucky I had we pulled her off.
You're too strong.
No, the thread cut it. Now, this is something right here at this point that Roman was adamant that when you tied that foam off, there had to be at least 6 or 7 wraps of thread. And he had nothing but trouble, he said, with his foam. If he was less than that, it would unwrap on him. So he stressed to make sure at least 6, 7 wraps at the end there. And then just kind of, I think my tail was a little bit too long today.
Should have another coffee then.
I'm thinking. And then you take your hackle, and this is where it actually makes the fly start to look at neat. Even though the foam maybe look kind of ragged, you get 5 or 6 wraps in here, and it actually looks pretty good actually.
I thought it was kind of crappy.
Well, I think it looks crappy too, but
Just the view of it, right? The
Yep.
first time you get through.
yeah, I think I used just a little bit too thick of foam. I like a little bit narrower, so. And like I said, I think the tail's a little bit long too. Then he used an underwing on it that was Crystal Flash, and I thought this was my rainbow, but it's not. But it works just as good anyways. The original Crystal Flash was rainbow, and it's all different colors. It's reds and whatever in it. And this is one of my favorite colors. This has got a little bit of a purple in it. So. And this is likely one of my oldest chunks of Crystal Flash too. I feel like Jack. And then you put it on top and make it just about to the length of the tail. Tie that down on top.
One of those bobbins that we just bought.
Yep. Still just a fuzz light. I need to tighten it up a couple of turns yet. Then Roman used dark deer hair, or darker. I'm not a deer hair fan, so
You like elk better than deer?
I do.
Why?
Just better to deal with. It doesn't flare
I
out
think
like.
deer floats, man.
I don't know. I think they both float pretty good.
Well, they do.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just feel that for some reason, deer flares and it's hard to work with, where elk isn't quite as hard to work with. And because of the foam, Roman felt that you didn't have to put a lot of deer hair or elk hair on top. Just clean that out a little bit.
Isn't that deer hair you got there now?
No, it's elk.
Or you've already changed the pattern.
Dark?
Oh!
Well, it's kind of wrong. Well, I started off wrong.
Yeah, on the wrong foot, you mean? Heck with the wrong hook.
Boy, you
They say less is better.
Hey guys, this is as close as you're gonna see it. And then we're just gonna set that on top, over top of the crystal flash, and just about to, again, just maybe even just a fuzz past the tail. And we're gonna tie it down. Now this is something for beginners. If you want to stop that from spinning around, take a hank of it, wrap it, take another hank of it, wrap it, another, just wrap it in there. That way that stops it from spinning, and it's actually easier to clip it down too. Okay. Don't like that one. Renegade, yeah. And just wrap it in here a little bit. Wrap over top of it. Could have used your Zappa Gap in here if the guy wanted to, but I didn't. Then it calls for a grizzly. And, oh, I can see this.
Is that a Hoffman?
Oh, no, this is Heinz 57.
Indy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I got it. Must have been one of the first ones I bought, I guess. I just thought maybe I would use something that was not quite as... Well, let's give that a shot. And there's nothing wrong. I've tied it where furnace, hackle, back and front. So, I mean, again, like I say, I'm trying to tie it as close as I can without really bastardizing it. Oh, man, I don't like that hackle. Hackle might be just a fuzz long. Again, tie it in so the dull side is pointed towards you. Now, what I do here is I'm tying a little bit of a head here, and I'll show you why I'm doing it this way. Okay, now Roman used light olive. I've tied it with an olive that was almost, it had an olive tinge, but it was almost a creamy color. So the head color, as long as you keep it into the light olive, it can be almost any of the olive colors. I got this one here, and we're going to put a little bit of dubbing here. Now this is super fine or something like that, so it's going to dub pretty tight. And you really, I don't know if you really need it to dub that tight. So. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wrap this on. I could likely have a bigger head on it. I'm actually going to end behind, not at the front. What this does is stops you from squashing the eye. You don't have to worry about, well, that, plus you're not going to get your eye jammed up or anything like that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple turns here. And I'm not actually going to come back on that. It's not going to knock too much down. Get that out of the way. And what I'm going to do is actually tie it off right here at the back. Now that's basically your SA hopper. If you want to finish it and get it done here, okay? If you're a strike indicator person like I am, then what you would do is get some nice orange. And I guess I shouldn't have, but and what I would do is put just a drop in behind. And you'd bring this up above like this and bring this straight down so you're coming right down on top of that drop of glue. And that way spread that out. With the glue in there, you don't have to do a whole lot of turns in there. And there's your SA hopper. And I've seen this tied in various colors. I was fishing with a buddy of mine out of Calgary back many years ago now. He had a red SA hopper, and man, I'll tell you, he just butchered the bull trout. He was catching 3 or 4 fish to my 1, and I was using the yellow SA.
Where was that?
Whoa.
Was he using the
What's that?
What river?
What did it? It's an unknown river that I was fishing on. No, it's a tributary to the Red Deer, way up in the
Oh, okay.
just out in the
No, I was
park.
just wondering if it was a salmon fly that he.
Oh, it could have been a salmon fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is the fact that you don't have to stick just to yellow. I would think a green foam would work really nice. Heck, I seen him use a blue color foam and done not too bad with it. You know, and then I fished this on a little smoky and just wiped out the grayling with it. And it's a great dropper fly. You know, so yeah, it's a really good hopper pattern, and
So how small do you have?
I've gone